disclaimer for the viewers. So in this session, we are going to discuss monoclonal antibodies from targeted drug delivery system. So let us see the monoclonal antibodies. Learning objectives. You will be able to define monoclonal antibodies. You will be able to write advantages and disadvantages of monoclonal antibodies. You will be able to explain types of monoclonal antibodies. You will be able to describe preparation or production methods of the monoclonal antibodies, and you will be able to discuss applications of monoclonal antibodies. So these are the learning objectives which I have set for you. Let us see the introduction to monoclonal antibodies. All of you are aware about how antibodies are going to be formed in the body. So this is the structure of the antibody. It comprises, this is the heavy chain, then here it's a light chain, then this is the variable region, and this is the constant region of the antibody. And these are the binding sites to the antigen. So this is the antibody which is being produced in the body in response to the antigens. So the antibodies are proteins produced by the immunosystem that target a specific foreign object that is known as the antigen. That is a specific foreign object, that is the antigen. So antibodies are the proteins produced by the immunosystem that target a specific foreign object. They are called as a monoclonal antibodies when they are produced by clones derived from a single parent cell. When we are manufacturing the antibodies artificially, in such cases, it is said to be the monoclonal antibodies. So they are called monoclonal antibodies when they are produced by clones derived from a single parent cell, and this is going to act as a antigen to produce the monoclonal antibodies. Monoclonal antibodies have a high affinity for their epitopes, that is a specific antigen, the specific site of the protein they bind to. Monoclonal antibodies are produced by the beta cells and specifically target the antigens. They fight diseases by binding to particular and specific agent in the body, as they are having an ability to bind to the specific agent in the body, and thereby they are going to defend the certain diseases. Monoclonal antibodies are artificially manufactured. They are created in the laboratory with a specific medical purpose or target using genetic engineering and some other specialized or advanced methods. There are some advanced methods are there which are used to manufacture these monoclonal antibodies. Since 1985, more than 100 monoclonal antibodies are available in the market, which is approved by the US FDA. And at the end of 2018, the total market size, it is approximately 115.2 US billion dollars. The global market for the monoclonal antibody, it is approximately US dollar 115 billion in 2018. So this is about the monoclonal antibodies. Let us see the advantages and disadvantages of monoclonal antibodies. Advantages: it is having a high specific activity, there is no inherent variability, then low lot to lot inconsistency, then predictable duration of action of the monoclonal antibody, then unlimited production capacity for the monoclonal antibody, then they are highly pure, then monoclonal antibody does not affect the healthy cells. That is one of the important thing related with the monoclonal antibody. They are going to specifically target the specific cells or specific tissue or the antigen. It is possible to use the monoclonal antibodies for the radioactive treatment in the specific area of the body. They are also used to treat the wide range of conditions or the diseases. Or monoclonal antibodies are the ideal agents for drug targeting in the chemotherapy. So these are the few advantages of the monoclonal antibodies. Ultimately, we are using the monoclonal antibodies for the targeting purpose, isn't it? To target the specific cell, to target the infectious tissue, to target the cancerous cell with certain specificity. Let us see the disadvantages of the monoclonal antibodies. It is having a high cost, high production cost, and complexity related to creation of cocktail of monoclonal antibodies. Then labor intensive, it is expensive and technically complex to generate. It may be immunogenic. There may be chances of the immunogenicity by the monoclonal antibodies or when we are using the monoclonal antibodies. Average affinity of monoclonal antibody are generally lower than the polyclonal antibodies. See, when we are injecting the antigen, there is a formation of the polyclonal antibodies, and monoclonal antibody, it is having a single specificity. So when we are comparing the monoclonal antibodies with the polyclonal antibodies are having the highest affinity than the monoclonal antibodies. Monoclonal antibodies against conformational epitopes on native proteins may lose reactivity with the antigen. Sometimes it displays unexpected cross reactions with the unrelated antigen, and also the whatever the manufacturing processes are there, it is a little bit time consuming. Apart from these disadvantages, there is a one major disadvantage of the monoclonal antibodies, that is the toxicity. We have to suppose to consider the adverse effects of the monoclonal antibodies. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of the monoclonal antibodies. Let us move towards the types of monoclonal antibodies. There are 4 types of monoclonal antibodies are there. Look at the figure. Very first one, that is the murine monoclonal antibody. It is obtained from the murine source and it is fully murine. Murine means you can say it as a mouse, and it is denoted as a dash MOMAP. Then second monoclonal antibody, second type, that is known as the chimeric monoclonal antibody. It is denoted as a dash ZIMAB. Here, in the case of, look at the figure A and figure B. The figure A, it is fully green in color. Whatever the light chains and heavy chains are there, or whole antibody, it is from the murine source. While in the case of chimeric, the 25% of the region, that is the light chains, you can say, or variable region, it is of a murine origin, and remaining blue color, that is a 75%, it is from the human origin. That is, constant regions are from the human. Then the third type, that is known as the humanized, it is denoted as dash ZUMAB. Here, the antigen binding site, that is the CDR, that is a complementary determining region, it is mouse derived, and whatever the rest of the part of antibody, it is from the human derived, that is blue colored, it is a human derived. So 10% part it is from the murine derived or mouse derived. Then the D, that is a completely human, that is a dash UMAB. It is entirely derived from the human source. Okay, so there are 4 types of the monoclonal antibodies are there. Very first one is the murine monoclonal antibody. It is denoted as a dash OMAB. It is entirely derived from the murine source, and they are going to produce the allergic reactions in the humans. So there are only limited products of the murine origin are available in the market due to the allergic reactions. Then the second type, that is a chimeric, it is denoted as a ZIMAP. Here the variable region are of a murine origin, that is a 25%. Here the top part variable region, that is a 25%, it is of a murine origin, whereas the constant region, that is the blue one, it is from the human origin, but they can also cause an allergy. Then third one, that is a humanized, that is a Zumab. Here in the humanized, antigen binding site is a mouse derived, that is a 10%. So this is the antigen binding site, 10% it is originated or obtained from the mouse, and the remaining blue part, that is around 90%, it is human derived. And last one, that is a human UMAB, it is entirely derived from human source, and it is the best accepted monoclonal antibodies in the humans. So these are the types of the monoclonal antibodies along with their nomenclature. Let us move towards the production or the preparation of the monoclonal antibodies. There are 4 technologies which are available with us to prepare the monoclonal antibodies. Very first technology, that is known as the mouse hybridoma. Then second one, that is a page display. Third one, that is a transgenic mouse. And fourth one, that is a single beta cell. So in the case of mouse hybridoma, the mouse, it is immunized with the antigen or the target. Then the splenocytes, spleen is separated. Then the splenocytes are separated. Then it is combined with the myeloma cells, which is not shown over here, so as to we will get the hybridomas. Then hybridomas are screened, and furthermore we are getting the mouse monoclonal antibodies. After chimerization, we are getting the chimeric monoclonal antibodies, and after CDR graft, we are getting the humanized monoclonal antibody. So in the mouse hybridoma technology, it is the traditional technique starts by immunization of mice with a desired antigen to trigger an immunoresponse. So when we are injecting the antigen, which triggers the immunoresponse and which produces the antibodies in the mouse. Furthermore, separate the spleen, separate the splenocytes, and fuse these splenocytes with the myeloma cells to produce the hybridoma cells. So these hybridoma cells which produces the antibodies. Before that, there are so many other steps are also there. So we will see the in detail hybridoma technique later on. After screening, so here there is a screening, selected lead, that is the suitable specific hybridoma are used to generate the chimeric or the humanized antibody. So this is about the mouse hybridoma technique, which is used to prepare the chimeric monoclonal antibody or humanized monoclonal antibody. Let us see the page display. So the second technique, that is known as the page display. A human page displayed human antibody library is used to select the antigen of interest. So whatever antigen we want, we have to suppose to select it from the library, human page displayed library. Okay, then furthermore, the once we have selected the antigen from the page displayed antibody libraries, there is a bioplanning with the targets. There are 3 to 5 cycles are there, and furthermore, the antibodies are screened by using the ELISA. Then there is a, as I have said, that the screening by using the ELISA, we are getting the DNA sequences which are analyzed to construct and express the human IgG. So furthermore, after screening, the DNA sequences are analyzed to construct and express the human IgG, and furthermore it can be used to get the human monoclonal antibody. So this is about the page display. So in the case of page display, a human page displayed human antibody library is used to select the antigen of interest. After 3 to 5 rounds of the bioplanning, immunopositive phase clones are screened by the ELISA. Then DNA sequences are analyzed to construct and express the human monoclonal antibody. So this is about the page display. The third method or technology, that is known as the transgenic mouse. This method is similar to the hybridoma technology or single beta cell. Here only the thing is that we are using the transgenic mouse to get the humanized monoclonal antibody. So the mouse, it is immunized with the target. Furthermore, we have to suppose to separate the spleen, separate the splenocytes, then fuse it with the myeloma cells, then to get the hybridoma after fusing with by using the polyethylene glycol, then screen the hybridomas, generate the monoclonal antibodies furthermore to get the human monoclonal antibodies. Then the last method, that is known as the single beta cell. So here in the single beta cell, from the infected or vaccinated donors, PBMC are prepared. So here it is a human. So whatever the PBMC is there, it is prepared from the infected person or the vaccinated donor for isolation of suitable beta cells by flow cytometry. So furthermore, from this person, we have to suppose to separate, sort the beta cells with the labeled antigen. Furthermore, after screening and all those things, following the RCPTR, VH and the VL information of each beta cell informs the furthermore generation of the human monoclonal antibodies. So whatever the single beta cell or the page display, these are the novel methods which are used to prepare the humanized or human monoclonal antibodies. And mouse hybridoma and the transgenic mouse, these are the old methods for the preparation of the monoclonal antibodies. So this is about the production of the monoclonal antibodies. Let us see the principle behind the hybridoma technology. So here this is the normal T cell or beta cell which dies after 7 to 10 days in a culture. This is the cancerous cell. As I have said that in the hybridoma technology, mouse it is immunized with the antigen, and after a specific period of time, we have to suppose to separate the spleen, get the splenocytes, so as to we will get these normal T or B cells from the spleens or splenocytes. Combine these splenocytes with the separated myeloma cells, that is a cancerous cell, cancerous T or beta cell. So here these are the chromosomes which are present in the cancerous cell, and these are the chromosomes which are present in the normal T or beta cell. Fuse these two cells by using a polyethylene glycol, so as to we will get the heterokaryon, which comprises the nucleus of both normal cells as well as the cancerous cell. So this is the nucleus of normal lymphocyte, and this is the nucleus of the cancerous cell. So here in the hybridoma technology, cells of interest hybridized with the cancer cell. So this is the cells of the interest which is hybridized with the cancer cell. So this technology provides immortality to the cells of the interest. So this is a cell of the interest. When cells of interest are fused with the cancerous cell with the help of fusogen like Sidavirus or polyethylene glycol, generally we are using the polyethylene glycol. First, cytoplasmic membrane of two cells are fused. So this is the cytoplasmic membrane of the cell, and they are fused to get, we are getting the heterokaryon, the cells with a two different nucleus. Then the two nucleus combine to form a hybrid or the hybrid cell. Furthermore, so after random chromosomal loss from the heterokaryon, we are getting the hybridoma, right? So hybrid cell contains combination of both cell nuclear material but maintaining the species usual chromosomal number by loss of extra chromosomes. In the hybrid cells, genetic material of either of cell maintained completely and other one is lost completely. Hybrid cells are hybrid considering the cytoplasmic component. Of the three possibilities of cell like, there are three possibilities are there after fusion. That is we are getting the unfused cells or hybridoma cells or the hybrid cells, and which are being furthermore selected by using the HAT medium, that is a hypoxanthine aminopterin thymidine medium, which is selectively selects the specific hybridoma cells. So we are getting the hybridoma which expresses the some normal beta cell or T cell genes but grows indefinitely like a cancer cell. So furthermore, we are getting the beta cell hybridoma or T cell hybridoma, that is interleukin 2, or here on the beta cell hybridoma we are getting the monoclonal. Further expansion, we are getting the monoclonal antibodies. Let us see the further details of the hybridoma technology. So very first one, that is a preparation of the mouse splenic beta cells. So look at the figure. Initially, the mouse, it is injected with an antigen. So inject the antigen, suitable specific antigen to the mouse which contains the desired epitope. So after a certain period of time, animal responds by producing many of the antibodies to the epitope injected, isn't it? So as to furthermore, if we have separated the serum, we are getting the polyclonal antiserum. So the after an interval, mouse spleen which contains the antibody. So this is a mouse spleen which contains the antibody producing plasma cell. It is removed, right, and emulsified so that the antibody producing cells can be separated and placed into the wells of microdilution tray. So after antigen injection, give suitable time so as to the antibodies gets generated. Once antibody is generated in the serum, that is a polyclonal antiserum, separate the spleen, then emulsify the spleen. Furthermore, separate the cells by using the microdilution tray. So these are the antibody producing splenocytes or antibody producing cells which are separated from the spleens of the mouse. As these cells cannot remain viable in the cell culture for a long time period. So they must be fused with the cells that are capable of surviving and multiplying in the tissue culture. As whatever the splenocytes which are separated, they're not going to survive. So to survive these cells, we have to suppose to fuse with these cells with the certain surviving or multiplying cells, isn't it? So those cells are going to be multiplied into the tissue culture. So this is about the mouse splenic beta cells, how to generate the mouse splenic beta cells. So this is the first step. Okay, the second step, that is the selection of the myeloma cells, isn't it? As I have said that the myeloma cells, these are the cancerous plasma cells. They closely resemble to mouse beta cells, hence are compatible for the fusion, so as to survival of the splenic cells are going to be increased by using these myeloma cells. However, these myeloma cells have the capacity to produce their own antibodies because they have the genes and all other things components, so they are going to produce the antibodies. Hence, the myeloma cells are genetically modified with a two mutations, that is double mutated myeloma cells, so that they are going to lose their ability to produce their own antibodies, but an immortal property of these myeloma cells. So these cells are also deficient in an enzyme, that is HGPRT, and this defects leads to their inability to survive in the HAT medium. So furthermore, after fusing, if we want to separate the unfused cell, it becomes very easy to remove or screen the unfused myeloma cells. So this is about the myeloma cells. Then the next step, that is the fusion. So whatever the splenic antibody producing cells and myeloma cells are there, which are fused by using the polyethylene glycol. The mouse splenic beta cells and mutated myeloma cells are fused in a polyethylene glycol broth in the reaction chamber. As a result, three types of cells we are getting. Very first one is a unfused myeloma cells. Here fused myeloma cells are shown, but actually we are getting the unfused myeloma cells, unfused mouse splenic beta cells, and fused hybridoma cells. So in the next step, we have to suppose to remove the unfused myeloma cells and unfused mouse splenic cell and selectively separate the fused hybridoma cells which are having a capacity to produce the monoclonal antibodies, capacity to produce the antibodies. So the next step, that is a purification by subculturing on a HAT medium. As HAT, it is a very specific medium. Myeloma cells are not going to grow. Only hybridomas are going to be grow, and from that we have to suppose to select the suitable hybridoma cell, then grow it in a culture media and further expand in a cell culture or in the peritoneal cavity of the mouse. So in the purification step, so the next step is to remove the unwanted unfused cell and to propagate the clone of hybridoma cell. And this is carried out by subculturing the cells in a reaction chamber onto special medium called HAT. The myeloma cells lack of a HGPRT. It cannot grow on HAT medium, but antibody producing spleen cells can survive as they possess this enzyme. So this is about the purification. Then functional characterization of these hybridomas. If the original antigen used has a multiple epitopes, many beta cells would fuse with the myeloma cells to produce a mixture of hybridoma cells. So here, if whatever the antigen which is injected, if it is having a multiple epitopes, we are getting the mixture of spleen cells which are going to produce the multiple antibodies, right? So the medium containing hybridoma cells is then diluted into multi-well plates, such an extent that each well contains only one cell. The growth medium supernatant from the microdilution tray wells in which hybridoma cells are growing is then tested for the presence of desired monoclonal antibody. Once we have separated each cell, each well, it is tested for the specific monoclonal antibody, and same is furthermore used for the expansion. So the next step, that is a expansion. When a good candidate antibody producing cells is found, here in the from this step, the hybridoma cells are selectively proliferated either in a cell culture in vitro, or they are re-injected into the peritoneal cavity of mini mouse, where the cell multiply and produce large quantities of antibodies in the ascitic or peritoneal fluid. So this is the in vitro expansion and in vivo expansion of the monoclonal antibody. Ascitic fluid can be removed from the mice many times over the animal lifetime, and the desired antibody is harvested. So such a monoclonal antibody may not be in a pure form, may be mixed with other antibodies. Hence, it is purified by furthermore chromatography or by immunoprecipitation techniques or the test. So this is about the hybridoma technology. Let us see the applications of the monoclonal antibodies. Monoclonal antibodies are used in the isolation and the purification. So it can be used to purify individual molecules from a mixture even when they are present in the low concentration. Suppose we want to isolate or the purify the interferon or coagulation factor 8, it is possible by using the monoclonal antibody. Then it is used in the identification of cells and clones. For example, the TH-TC cells are identified by using anti-CD4 and anti-CD8 monoclonal antibody. Then monoclonal antibodies are furthermore used in the diagnostic reagents. The antigen detection kits employ various monoclonal antibody tagged with a detection molecule, such as fluorescent dye or enzyme, to detect a specific antigen in the clinical specimen. Furthermore, in the diagnostics, it is used in the detection of infection, it is used in the pregnancy detection, it is used in the blood grouping, it is used in the tumor detection and imaging, and furthermore, it is used in the tissue typing for the transplantation. So in the case of infections such as hepatitis B or serogrouping of the streptococci, in the pregnancy detection, test by using monoclonal antibodies against human chorionic gonadotropin. Then blood grouping can be done by using anti-A and anti-B monoclonal antibodies. Tumor detection and imaging by using monoclonal antibodies specific for tumor antigens screened by tumor cells. For example, prostate specific antigen. Then tissue typing for transplantation can be done by using anti-HLA monoclonal antibodies. Monoclonal antibodies, it is furthermore used in the monitoring proteins and drug levels in the serum. So it is possible to use the monoclonal antibodies in the case of monitoring of the proteins and drug levels in the serum. Then it is used for the passive immunity for post-exposure prophylaxis against various infections. Monoclonal antibody targeting specific antigens of infection organism can be administered. For example, the immunoglobulins against hepatitis B, then rabies and tetanus. Then it is used as a immunotoxin, monoclonal antibody conjugated with a bacteria or chemical toxin. For example, diphtheria toxin can be used to kill the target cells such as a cancerous cells. So here monoclonal antibody against surface receptor helps in binding to the target cells, and the toxin helps in the target cell killing. Then it is used as an enzyme, that is Abzyme is a monoclonal antibody with a catalytic activity. And the last and very important use of monoclonal antibody, that is its therapeutic use. More than 100 products are available in the market and which are widely used for the treatment of cancers and various disease conditions. So monoclonal antibodies are used in the treatment of various inflammatory, allergic diseases and the cancers. So let us see the details of the therapeutic uses of the monoclonal antibodies. So therapeutic applications of monoclonal antibodies furthermore divided into the anti-tumor therapy, then the immunosuppression, fertility control, and drug toxicity reversal. So very first one, that is the anti-tumor therapy. In anti-tumor therapy, antibodies against tumor antigen is produced artificially, and they are converted into either immunotoxins or chimeric immunotoxins or heteroconjugate antibodies. When these antibodies utilize, they damage tumor cells and tumor growth, it is going to be controlled. These anti-tumor antibodies are called as magic bullets, right? So the monoclonal antibodies, it is used in the anti-tumor therapy to control the growth of tumor cells. Then the second, that is immunosuppression. During transplantation between partially incompatible individual, host versus graft rejections are suppressed using monoclonal antibodies against TCR, BCR, co-receptor complex, and cytokinase. So hypersensitivity reactions are also treated with blocking the monoclonal antibodies. So it is used in the immunosuppression during the organ transplantation. Then fertility control by producing antibodies against HCG or trophoblast, the fertility it is going to be controlled. And last one, that is a drug toxicity reversal. Toxicity produced by drug, it is treated using monoclonal antibodies against drugs so that the functions of drugs are blocked and effect is going to be reduced. So therapeutically, the monoclonal antibodies are used in the treatment of cancer. It is used for the immunosuppression. It is used for the fertility control, and it is used for the drug toxicity reversal. Let us see some products related with the monoclonal antibodies. As I have said that more than 100 products are there in the market. I have listed here only the first few 30 products for the discussion. So very first product which is used in the kidney transplant rejection, the name of the product, that is a orthoclone OKT3, which is approved in the 1986. The name of the monoclonal antibody, that is a miromomab. The target, that is a CD3, which is available in the format, that is a murine IgG2A. Technology which is used to manufacture the orthoclone OKT3, that is a hybridoma, and company which manufactures this orthoclone OKT3, that is Centocor Orthobiotech product LP. The second product which is used for the prevention of blood clot in angioplasty, which is first marketed in the 1994 with a brand Repro, which contains the monoclonal antibody apsizimab. The target is a GPIIB-IIIA. The format, chimeric IgG1 FAB. The technology which is used to manufacture the RevoPro, that is the hybridoma technology. So this is a product, that is the apsizimab, developed by the Centocor. Then the monoclonal antibodies are furthermore used in the non-Hodgkin lymphoma and prevention of respiratory syncytial virus infection. The products which are available in the market, that is a rituximab and the Synagis. Then it is used in the Crohn's disease, product which is available, that is a Remicade. Then it is used for the breast cancer, the product which is available in the market, that is a Herceptin. Furthermore, monoclonal antibodies are used for the chronic myeloid leukemia. So this is a product which is available in the market, that is a Lamtrada. Then it is also used for the rheumatoid arthritis, the product which is available in the market, that is a Herceptin. Then for non-Hodgkin lymphoma, the product which is available in the market, that is a Zevalin. And for asthma, the Zolavir product which is available in the market. Then for colorectal cancer, there are two products are available in the market, that is Arbitrix and Avastin. Then for multiple sclerosis, Tisabri, this is a product which contains the natalizumab. And for colorectal cancer, the product Vectibix is available, which contains the panitumumab monoclonal antibody. Then for macular degeneration, the product which is available in the market, that is a Lucentis, which contains the monoclonal antibody ranibizumab. And for paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, the product which is available in the market, that is a Soliris, which contains the eculizumab monoclonal antibody. Then for Crohn's disease, the product Cimzia is available, and for psoriasis, Stelara product it is available in the markets. The Stelara, which contains the ustekinumab. Then for the Muckle-Wells syndrome, Ilaris, the product which is available in the market. And for rheumatoid, psoriatic arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, the product which is available in the market, that is a Simponi. Then for chronic lymphocytic leukemia, the product which is available in the market, that is a Arzira. And for rheumatoid arthritis, Actimra. For bone loss, the Jeva product is available. And for systemic lupus erythematosus, the Benlysta product is available in the market. For metastatic melanoma, Yervoy product is available. For Hodgkin lymphoma, systemic anaplastic large cell lymphoma, the product which is available in the market, Adcetris. Furthermore, here I have listed the remaining products which are available in the market, which are used for the breast cancer, anthrax, chronic lymphocytic leukemia, then Castleman disease, gastric cancer, ulcerative colitis, then acute lymphoblastic leukemia, then melanoma, then non-small cell lung cancer, then for high cholesterol, psoriasis, soft tissue sarcoma, asthma, then prevention of inhalation anthrax, then bladder cancer, then furthermore plaque psoriasis, atopic dermatitis, rheumatoid arthritis, Merkel cell carcinoma, hemophilia A, asthma, bladder cancer, then the hereditary angioedema attack, and migraine prevention. Furthermore, the cutaneous squamous cell carcinoma, HIV infection, then hairy cell leukemia, then osteoporosis, then paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, then macular degeneration, and sickle cell diseases. More than 100 products which are available in the market for the monoclonal antibodies. Let us see the summary. So in this session, we have discussed the definition of the monoclonal antibody. We have discussed the general aspects related with the monoclonal antibodies, then advantages and disadvantages of monoclonal antibody, types of monoclonal antibodies, production or preparation methods of monoclonal antibodies, and lastly the applications of monoclonal antibodies. These are the references which I have referred for the preparation of this presentation, that is development of therapeutic antibodies for treatment of diseases, Journal of Biomedical Science, and Google. Thank you very much.